Christian, go ahead and clap it in.
Clapping.
Juna, clap it in.
No, that's actually going to make it harder.
I know. Clap it in. All right, we ready? Welcome to Was It Good, the podcast that reviews movies and TV shows. Today, we are talking Disney Plus's newest Marvel show, She-Hulk. I'm Ravi, and as always, I'm joined by my two brothers,
Arjuna.
And Krishna in a turtleneck.
No blazer, though, huh?
Yeah, no blazer.
You're in like a really cold state. Not like emotionally or physically, just the state that you're in is cold.
Yeah, it's like 72 degrees, but inside for some reason it feels like 67. So I must be in like a shady spot right now.
Can we back? Wait, I'm sorry. How? What? Who says it feels like 67? Like
no. My thermometer inside says 67 degrees.
I was
so
like,
inside
you can just tell. That's really specific.
That's a superpower.
I
he
have
can
a
tell the
thermometer
temperature.
in my brain.
He can tell Fahrenheit.
Speaking of superheroes, we saw a bunch of not heroes, but people with superpowers in this finale and this season as a whole
Of She-Hulk.
Oh,
yeah, that's what we're talking about.
yes.
She-Hulk.
I want to start though real quick. Was it the penultimate episode?
Episode 8?
8, where we're introduced to Mr. Immortal.
That was episode 6 or 5.
Ah, gotcha.
That was a while ago.
So I don't know how you guys watched this show, but I ended up batching it into three sections. So I watched the initial, like the first 3 or 4 episodes. Then I watched, I think, it was episode 5. I wasn't a huge fan. And then I just watched the remaining episodes all at once with the finale. And it was a much more enjoyable experience watching the first and the second part as opposed to watching that week to week, because the show's just not a good week to week show.
I actually disagree with you. I think
Really?
I think this is one of the better MCU week to week shows because it's lower stakes in terms of
So like rare stakes?
No, in terms of like when you go back to a Loki or a WandaVision, right? Each episode, I mean, WandaVision, there's a little exception with the first few episodes where it's like a different thing each week at the big, with the different types of sitcoms.
Right.
But this one was like it was a somewhat self-contained story each week, right? There was a different case, there was a different thing going on, there was the overarching story of stuff that was happening, but this actually worked. And with the amount of content that's on right now, it was kind of like a nice palette refresher where in terms of I didn't have to necessarily like really focus and like really like do a lot of research after each episode in terms of like, wait, what is this? What is that? Who is this person? Who is that person? Like it was just like a nice straightforward type of show. Like this is what the show was. It was a comedy. It has Jen Walters. These are the things that are going on in her life, in her personal life, in her work life. And it felt like a throwback in a lot of ways. Like, this is kind of like a nice weekly show to have. And I was like, if this is the way that they want to go with releasing these weekly, that's kind of the way that they should do it. Like, it worked for me.
I just batched it.
Yeah.
I watched the first 4 episodes, and then I watched all the rest this week, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Arjuna might be right. I just have no experience with watching this show.
I mean, I gave it a try with the week to week, and I just couldn't. It just wasn't something for me. A week to week show. For me, a week to week show needs to be something that is, it keeps your attention essentially, right? Like week over week, so that I want to come back. Yeah. This one, for whatever reason, it was just like, yeah, I get what you're saying, where it was very it felt serialized, where it's like, this is the thing of the week, but it wasn't enough to be like, I have to come back, whatever. I knew that I could just batch it. It was a quick and easy watch.
I think in both scenarios we're right in terms of it's easy. There wasn't necessarily enough to be like, it's like appointment television.
Right.
But it's also just like something that's easy to kind of put on. It was nice and short. It's 30 minutes, and it was just like an easier show to watch than something like House of the Dragon or Rings of Power, where you really kind of have to like, I'm strapping in for like an intense hour plus, and like there's a lot of stuff that's gonna happen, and it's going to be like very intense. And this was like not intense, which is for me was really nice. It was like I looked forward to that during the week of like I have all this intense like content to consume. Even like Andor, for example, which has been going for the last few weeks. Like that's another show that's like really good, really really good. But also like really intense. There's a lot going on, right? And it's like 50 minutes, and it's just like, oh, this takes a lot out of me. And She-Hulk, it's like, I feel good after this one, you know? I feel like rejuvenated. All these other shows, I'm like, man, I'm depressed.
I do not like this.
No, it's not I don't like it. It's just like, you know, you feel heavy.
You're out of breath.
You feel heavy.
Yeah.
From the rush.
Right, exactly.
So then looking at, the entire season as a whole, like, how would you describe it in one word impression? Christian, let's hear how you would start with this.
I would say my one word impression for this show is I'm going to say comedy. I think it established itself as a comedy right off the bat. And I think if you look at the entirety of the show, including the finale, which I think is controversial, if you look at it through the lens of just straight up comedy, it works, I think, very, very well. It was fun. Our main character was really engaging in a comedic sense. So that's going to be my one word, because I think that's the lens you have to view it, and that's the lens I viewed it, and I enjoyed it because of that.
Comedy. Good.
Comedy. Ah,
Comedic.
yes, comedy.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Wall.
Wall. Oh, fourth wall. Okay.
Because there was obviously tons of fourth wall breaking. And it also, I think for a lot of people, myself included, in the very first episode, she breaks the fourth wall. And my gut reaction was, oh, we're doing like a Deadpool thing. And what's interesting is She-Hulk actually did the fourth wall breaking well before Deadpool did. So the first She-Hulk comic where she broke the fourth wall was back in, I believe, the late 80s. And Deadpool wasn't around till like the mid to late 90s or whatever. And even similar to what happened in the finale where she's on the Disney studio lot, which, by the way, is not where they filmed this, which I thought was hilarious.
It looked like it.
Well, no. So when they're actually on the lot,
Yeah.
yes, those sequences are the actual studio lot. Like, you both have been there.
Yeah.
But in terms of the show as a whole, was not filmed.
Well, like no
Yeah.
show is like really
No,
filmed
exactly.
on
But
that
for me, I think that's just
Muppets.
kind of funny. But like even similar to what happens there, where she's talking to the writers and creators of the show in the comic, she does the same thing where she's talking directly to the original creator of the show and one of the artists. There's an entire plot where they kidnap and hide the creator of She-Hulk to go and find his replacement. So
That's actually hilarious.
which is great. Like, they've done this quite a bit. So breaking that fourth wall has been very kind of integral to like her character and like who she is and how she connects with you as a reader. While a Deadpool is just kind of doing it really for comedy purposes and just kind of leading wherever, She-Hulk does it more on a personal level where she's trying to like, you're there with her, right? Like, there are parts where she's even like, oh, you're still here? Like, she's directly talking to you and making like an emotional connect. So breaking, wall, which was great.
Wall.
Right.
Nice.
Thank you.
Comedy.
Chris already did that.
No, I'm just saying.
Oh,
Your explanation was comedy.
thank you.
Wow.
No.
Interesting.
Well, thank you for asking what my one word would be. It will be origin. And I think the reason I use origin is because this was an origin story for a new character, and it feels like one of the better ones that the MCU has done in recent history. I know for myself, in terms of like the origin movie, especially the origin superhero movie, it's very played out in a lot of ways, right? We've seen Bruce Wayne's parents be murdered many times on screen.
More than I care to admit.
We've seen, Uncle Ben also be murdered many times on screen. We've seen a lot of these origin like cliches kind of played out of like the character getting their powers, learning how to use it, becoming a hero, et cetera, et cetera. To me, especially as we enter 2022 with the Disney Plus Marvel shows, introducing new characters like Moon Knight, like Miss Marvel. It felt like instead of doing the origin movie, they did the Disney Plus show to kind of introduce these characters. And like Moon Knight succeeded and failed in a lot of ways. Miss Marvel succeeded and failed in a lot of ways. And I'm not saying that She-Hulk was perfect, but to me, of the 3 origin stories, this felt like the best one. This felt like the best way to do it.
You know why, though, right?
Why?
Consistency. So
Yeah.
the problem with like Moon Knight and Miss Marvel is they started off doing these really cool, unique ways of telling these stories, and then they fell into the Marvel trap of big battle, big finale, while this show was able to, because of the character, adjust that to fit the character.
Yeah, and we should talk about the finale itself, right? It's like you said with the wall, it's super fucking meta. Like it is.
Well, language.
It is
children's podcast.
We can use one. We can use one.
We get one F-bomb?
I used it.
Wait, is that one fucking F-bomb per person or one fucking?
No, you just ruined it.
Shit. Fuck.
Can't monetize this one.
Well, hell.
But right, the whole thing is meta at the very end, right? They start the big battle sequence starts, and Jen is like, "Wait, this is what we're going with," and then like Titania shows up, and then Bruce shows up, and we're like, "Wait, what's happening?" And then you have the whole 10-15 minute sequence of her going through the Disney Plus app, which, by the way, I will admit,
it threw you.
I watched it at midnight. It threw me. I was like, "Oh, I think my app crashed." For about 2 seconds. I was like, no, this is part of the show. Part of the show. Which is great. Great gag. I also felt like meta commentary on the Disney Plus app in the early days crashing. It's great.
I'm sure some VP was not happy with that.
Yeah, but it was great. Like they, when they went into the writers' room, like that was Jessica Gao and the other writers and directors in there. They referenced Kevin Feige, for God's sake, and made him out to be this like portal robot, which is great. Kevin.
Do you want cake, by the way? I really want cake after that scene.
The cake is a lie. But I thought that was really great, and I thought it was it reminded me in a lot of ways of Loki. Loki also circumvented the big battle and did this amazing, dialogue-heavy finale with Jonathan Majors as He Who Remains. And this did that in a similar, but albeit different way, with kind of breaking the fourth wall, feeding into the character of She-Hulk herself, and just doing this, like, I'm going to do this, like, choose my own, really feed into who I am as a character and kind of do my own thing. And then you have the hilarious bit of Daredevil literally dropping from the sky in daylight, and all of his other fun stuff, which was, I thought, really effective.
It's funny that you mention Kang and Jonathan Majors, because right when the whole thing was happening with Kevin, I thought, oh, this has got to be a Kang thing. This is a multiversal intervention. I'm like, oh, Kang's about to reveal himself. And I'm glad that they didn't do that, because you would have changed the tone of the entire show, and it would become something completely different. So it's just funny that Kang was strongly on my mind during that finale.
It's interesting with the entire Kevin and breaking and all that stuff. Like, we all agree that is all, just like all the other fourth wall breaking, it's in her head, right? It's not within the universe.
I mean,
I don't know, and I think that pisses a lot of people off. A lot of people like this. I went on YouTube this morning. You should never do that first thing in the morning, but I did. And a lot of the videos were like, why this completely destroys the MCU. All of these like doom and gloom things. I'm like, I don't think it's that serious, guys. I mean,
what are they going to do with Deadpool?
What do you mean?
He breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah.
He's MCU now.
Well, he's a man, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
According to those YouTubers, that's their logic. I'm just saying.
I mean, according to Todd as well, and his group of intelligentsia people, because she was what did they say? Just because we're not saying this because she's a woman or whatever.
I will say the whole for the writers and everything to know like exactly how people will react to this character and feed that into the plot of what the show was brilliant. Like, it was just super well done. And
what's
like,
great
just
though,
hilarious, amazing.
The best thing,
and the fact that they continue to do it, like they get the stupid idiots.
But have you seen though the reaction to this episode and breaking the fourth wall? The thing that everyone who dislikes the show, what they're hiding behind is oh, you break the fourth wall because you're covering up bad writing. That is the argument that's being made right now. Is like they went this way because it's been all bad writing, and I think again the point's been completely missed by a lot of people.
I also think that those same people, if She-Hulk never broke the fourth wall, would have been like, but in the comics, she broke the fourth wall. He didn't do it in the show. You can't win with those people.
No, you
because
can't.
they're
You can't.
stupid.
I honestly, the bad writing argument is used so much now. I'm confused, like what good and bad writing is anymore. Like
I can help
don't
you.
know.
Let me help
what,
you
what
out.
it, I don't even know what it is. I
Sure,
just don't.
Christian. Stargate, the SG-1 series, is mediocre writing. Stargate Atlantis is bad writing. Stargate Continuum started off bad but got good and then got canceled.
This doesn't
So
help
in
me. I didn't see any of those shows.
Universe.
Continuum was the TV movie.
In conclusion, yes. You're welcome. That helped,
Good
right?
and bad writing is subjective.
It's super subjective. It's
I
basically
mean, I
whatever's
just don't
trending
even.
at the time.
I don't even. I mean, it's like you. We should make a video and be like, just say why this is bad writing. I'm like, I just don't even know.
There are entire books about what's good and bad writing, Krishna.
Sure. No, I
We should do
understand
a
that.
pod on one of those books.
But writing for television and writing for novels and stuff like that, it is different. So
It's true.
I don't know. So again, I'm still a little lost. I'm still a little lost.
This is
on
the
what
grammar
is
of it all too, right?
good
What
and
makes a
bad.
complete sentence? Well, you need a punctuation mark.
Dan Harmon would say that for television, you need a circular story where the characters make a change but revert back to the original place so that you can have a next episode.
It's true. That's his whole model for Rick and Morty.
Getting back
Community.
into She-Hulk here. The entire season, I think we're kind of split in terms of was it good week to week, was it good overall? But in terms of other things that were good and things that you liked, do you guys have a particular part that stood out to you, that worked, that didn't work?
I thought I think just starting with the character herself, I thought like Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk like really worked, and I think maybe besides Moon Knight, I mean I did like Moon Knight, but like for a lot of these shows, like I really liked Miss Marvel, I really liked Hawkeye, I really like a lot of these characters.
Wait, you liked Hawkeye?
Like the character
Oh,
of Hawkeye.
not the series.
The series I liked up until the finale.
Oh.
But so even though I don't love like every single piece of these shows, I really like the character, and I think She-Hulk continues that trend of I really like Jennifer Walters, I really like this character, and I think like this is a character that can do a lot of cool things within the MCU, and I thought that was the strength of the like show. Like you got a really great actress who really like nailed the role and made the show compelling.
Krishna?
Favorite part. I'm gonna say I thought everything with Emil and Abomination was I really enjoyed. Like I liked
Obama's
like
dead.
that the whole episode, that whole therapy episode, right? I think it's actually my favorite episode. Just seeing this guy act like a therapist, and then
Treat.
I'm also a little confused with it though as well at the end there. So I'm like, so was he helping intelligentsia? Like,
No,
what?
so from what
I was confused by
Yeah,
that.
I rewatched it, and basically I think his whole thing is helping people be the best of themselves.
Oh,
So
right.
he's not going to judge what they're doing if it allows them as
That's even
individuals
better,
to
even
be their
Yeah.
best self.
Right.
So
right.
it's
Okay,
not
so
good,
that's-
it's
that's
not bad, it's more like he needs to make a living.
And clearly
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
like post-credits scene, or I think that was post-credits.
There's the post-credit scene.
They're setting him up for more with Juan, right? Like
Yeah.
there is more to their relationship than they showed in the earlier episodes of him breaking him out and them being up to something, right? And they even make the joke of like, I was doing another I'm Wong, I was doing another show, I was doing another thing and everything. So it's like, it's the classic MCU movie thing where it's like character Y will return. It's
Yeah.
like basically confirming it's like Abomination will return. in some
Have
way, shape, or
we
form.
do we know if a season 2's already been greenlit? Is there a season 2 coming?
Greenlit.
That's good. The last thing I ever saw of Kevin Feige saying about She-Hulk, and this was before the show premiered, was that She-Hulk would show up in the movies. Now, obviously, they talk about season 2 within the finale,
Right.
and
Quite a bit.
that happening. And I would imagine, like, the format of the show and the series, I think, works better than some of these other shows where there should be a season 2. So I would like to see a season 2, but then I could also see She-Hulk showing up in Daredevil, Born Again. I could see her showing up in movies and other things.
Didn't Kevin say, "See you on the big screen," and then he was like, "Just kidding."
Yeah, it was at the end of within the meta commentary. So it's like kind of up in the air. I think like Marvel's always been smart about like they introduce a character, they see what the reaction is, and then they kind of plot. They have some obviously like options of where they could appear, and then like if they're not popular, they go like the way of the Eternals and maybe like disappear for a little bit, and then like
Then why
no
does
mention ever
if
again.
that's true, then why does Ant-Man have 3 movies?
because Ant-Man because
Seriously.
people love Paul Rudd.
Yeah, Paul Rudd
and-
is the saving grace.
That's got to
Yeah.
be why. But still, like, because Ant-Man is not
And the movies made money.
popular.
Like,
Yeah.
the movies made money. Like the
they
thing,
all make money.
the thing.
Thad loves Ant-Man.
Well, the thing with the movies is publicly facing. It's very easy to determine what is success and what isn't, right? Because it comes down to how much did this movie make in the box office. So Ant-Man made money, therefore it gets sequels. TV shows a little harder because like not all of the data is public knowledge, so it's like we don't know how popular these characters necessarily
There's
are.
also the merchandise factor too.
Sure.
It's like Ant-Man is a popular
Toy.
character and
Really?
amongst kids. Yeah. So
Huh.
having
Interesting.
having Ant-Man be kind of also crucial to making Endgame work in the sense of like it was his idea and everything that got everything.
and Kang Dynasty, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Like it makes the
Yeah.
character, somewhat important, even though like, yeah, maybe
Sure.
it's not done in the best way. I think the nice thing is at least Ant-Man with 1 and then the sequel got better. And then the more we've seen of Ant-Man, it's gotten a little bit more interesting. So
Yeah.
It's
By
on
the way,
the upper rise.
I like Ant-Man. I'm just going with the Ant-Man seems to be just so low on the talking points. It seems seemingly. I could be wrong there, but
I mean, Ant-Man and Quantum Mania, is that what it's called? No.
Yeah.
I like that movie.
I mean, the big talking point, I don't know if you've seen, is Jonathan
Majors.
Majors. He did a cover
Oh.
shoot, I guess, for like Men's Health magazine and
GQ, right?
or something, and he's just jacked, and everyone's like, Kang is gonna wipe the floor with Paul Rudd or Ant-Man.
Well,
Probably.
there's like a leaked image of like Paul Rudd is like bloodied.
Yeah.
For like Ant-Man 3. I'm like, well, it makes sense.
Could be the death of Ant-Man.
Could
That's
be.
the rumor. That's the big rumor.
Ooh.
They haven't done that recently.
What do you mean? I guess in Phase 4.
Yeah, they haven't killed anybody.
They haven't.
Like,
They kill
permanent-
somebody
like,
in every
permanently.
phase.
I mean, they killed some Eternals.
Yeah,
Oh,
but the
yeah, I forgot
Eternals are
about that.
copies and
Sure.
robots or whatever,
Yeah.
so
They could bring him back.
they can bring him back.
It's very true.
So not that big of a deal, unfortunately.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I mean,
So you're
again,
saying-
that movie is just kind of a. Again, my biggest problem with that movie is a gigantic thing showed up in the sky, and we've only gotten some web clippings.
Hey, it was,
Right? Yeah, it was actually in She-Hulk.
referenced
and
in She-Hulk.
Yeah,
It
it was
was in
referenced in
She-Hulk,
She-Hulk.
yeah.
Yeah, finally. But it was
Spoiler
like
alert. My
a-
bold prediction was right.
was it?
I said the
Boo.
Celestials would
Mentioned?
finally be mentioned in She-Hulk, and it
Yeah.
was. I win. Exactly.
I don't remember that.
It's like
Eternals will finally be referenced.
It's in when
She's
Jen
scrolling
is
on the-
scrolling on
yeah.
the internet for new jobs. There's like a thing about the Celestial in the ocean.
Let's get into I think the bigger talking point of She-Hulk. Is She-Hulk and Daredevil an item?
For sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. That's all I need to know.
Well, yeah.
And
Why is
at
that
this
even
point,
a question?
especially because Daredevil's going to be 18 episodes,
Yeah.
I think it would be strange if she doesn't show up in that show. For at
I mean,
least-
they're on
Especially
different
after this
coasts,
show.
though.
Daredevil showed up in 2 episodes here.
I mean, it's a 6-hour flight.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
It
And
basically takes a whole day to go from L.A. to...
Yeah, in real life, it's a TV show. They don't have to show the 6 hour. This isn't 24. They don't have to show 6 hours of them traveling
Oh
by
man, can
plane.
you imagine if he had to go to New
He's in-
York?
yeah. He's in traffic from JFK.
They did it, but they did in seasons have like the presidents on planes, like
Yeah.
traveling across.
Yep.
And, like a quarter of the season is them just traveling and talking on the plane, and it's like
And then gets off the plane.
this is where the concept of this show kind of fails.
Yeah, of 24.
Yeah.
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 Going back into the season for this, I guess the other big reveal is Hulk shows up with a son, Scar. And the funniest thing that I've seen is you see this character for probably 1.8 seconds.
Sure.
And everyone is saying they've ruined the character already. Yes.
Scar?
Yep, they've ruined Scar out of 1.8 seconds of footage of showing this character.
What I really liked about it is how small they played it. Like, that's a big reveal.
Yeah.
But they're just like, oh yeah, I have a son.
Yeah.
It was great.
So ridiculous.
It was great. And again, it fit. I think like this is one of those MCU shows that knew what it was from beginning to end and like really played into that. Because I think like other MCU shows would have made that a big point, right?
Yeah.
Like Hulk would have dropped in and like his son would have helped in the final battle.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, there's this cool character and it's taking away from like Jen and She-Hulk. And they didn't do that.
Or a whole episode.
Right. They
If
would
it were Star Wars.
yeah. It would have been 2 episodes. Would have been the whole back half of the season. Yeah.
Oh, just kidding. It's
It's called She-Hulk,
Junior
but
show.
we're going to just show Hulk, which is the other part of the title of the show.
So with
I
that
love
big
the-
reveal, though, like with Scar, I mean, being there and him having a son, the assumption is he conceived that child most likely when he was on the planet with the Collector,
Yeah, because that's the planet he was going to.
when he was flying out,
Yeah.
right, on that ship.
Yeah.
And that ship that was there basically to tell him, hey, you have a
Probably.
son.
We would assume, yeah.
Okay. Well, that mystery was solved.
Christian, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was gonna say with the whole Scar reveal, I just thought the family's reaction to it was hilarious too. Just to play in like the nonchalance of the reveal, like they're like, "Oh, how nice," and they go up to like hug him and stuff. Like, oh, they don't even ask questions, you know.
Well, I mean, two of your, like, the kids are Hulks, so, yeah, why would
yeah,
you?
right. At this point, it's like, oh, we're just happy you're alive and not in jail or something. So.
I think this is a smart show, too, in terms of they know the audience and they know that people will know what that means and dig into it. And there's the, as we talked about in our previous podcast, the mystery box of it all, too, right? Where there's this kind of like new mystery to unwrap across the MCU, which is, a plus thing that the MCU has done with after credit scenes and like other little teases of things to come with, going all the way back to the first Iron Man with the War Machine suit and the Avengers Initiative, right? Those were the, 2 of the original MCU mystery boxes in a lot of ways.
Here's I think the biggest question. Like, this is the last Marvel Disney Plus show for
Phase 4.
For Phase 4. As the time of taping of this pod, we don't have official dates for any other Disney Plus, except for the Groot Guardians holiday thing.
I don't think we have an official date. I think that's just sometime in December.
So we know that that's coming, but we don't know about any other series currently.
No, we know like
we just have like
according
Q1
to
of
right.
whatever.
According to Wikipedia, well,
so reliable.
and just they're supposed like next year
Yeah.
the shows that are supposed to drop are Secret Invasion, Echo.
Daredevil.
Daredevil's 2024, early 2024. So Secret Invasion, Echo, Loki season 2. There's supposed to be another one, a couple more that I can't remember right now. But there's supposed to be like 4.
So as we're wrapping up Phase 4 here, we have Wakanda Forever coming out in a couple of weeks in November. Let's take a quick moment to kind of look back here. Phase 4 has been about 2.5 years, roughly. Sure. Yeah.
Well, technically, Phase 4 started with Black Widow.
So that's
in
2020.
2021.
Was it 2021? I don't remember.
There were no MCU releases in 2020.
Okay.
Actually, technically, the first thing was WandaVision at
And
the
that was-
beginning of 2021.
So it's been about, let's say, just under 2 years.
yeah.
So, we've had all of this content, subpar movies, subpar series. Here's the big question for both of you. Should they continue doing what they're doing? Does this formula work, or are we really at the point of please stop and reevaluate?
Well, I think the question's almost irrelevant because they're just going to keep doing what they're doing
As we know from the release dates.
because money. Actually, yeah, your one-word impression for the last Rings of Power, I think, is very applicable here. Money. And we talked about this, I think, when we did the premiere for She-Hulk. We said that it seems like She-Hulk is stepping in a slightly different direction than we've seen with previous MCU shows. And you get the feeling with the shift in the phases, right? Phase 5, phase 6, the things that they announced, right? The last big panel or whatever, that they're going to be doing things a little bit differently. So that it seems, I get the feeling they're shifting gears slightly and that they are changing things. We'll see like how that plays out. But at least that's the impression I'm getting.
I think this is like, I think these phases are mirroring like the previous 3 phases in a lot of way. Phase 4 is very much like Phase 1. You're introducing a bunch of new characters, a bunch of new things that are going to be important and pivotal. And so, you know, just thinking of the new characters you've introduced. Florence Pugh's Black Widow Jr.
Black Widow Jr.
Shang-Chi, The Eternals, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, and She-Hulk, right? And then also the new Black Panther is upcoming. And then you've reintroduced and made other characters more important, like Wanda and Loki, right? So I think they're presenting this as these are the pivotal players for this next batch of movies, right? This is what Phase 4 is about. Kind of like Phase 1. Here's Iron Man. Here's Captain America. Here's Thor. Here is the Hulk. And then they team up to become the Avengers. And so I'm not saying like these characters are going to team up necessarily, but I think these are the characters that are going to kind of carry you through 2026 or 2027, whenever the end of Phase 6 is kind of. And so like origin stories are always just, again, a little bit more cliched, a little bit more like cookie cutter, here's what we have. I think they try to do it with some of these Disney Plus shows, some success, some failure. And I think now that you're kind of out of that phase of here's all this new stuff, it's like we're now into like we're into it. Like here's the actual story.
Yeah, Secret Invasion is going to be interesting because it's all established characters already.
Sure.
For the most part. I mean, there's
like even
there's one new character actually played by who plays Khaleesi?
Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, she's gonna be in
Secret Invasion.
We don't know who she's playing, so it's a new character.
But
again, it's not an origin.
Sure,
story
but and I will say, even though like you have Blade coming and Fantastic Four and X-Men, even though they're new to the MCU, I think kind of like Rings of Power, you know, it's established IP already, where there's already an understanding of who these characters are.
Well, just how they did Spider-Man.
Exactly. Like, you didn't have to redo Spider-Man's origin because people know
You didn't have to see Uncle Ben die.
You don't need to necessarily do the X-Men origin because, like, they're already been peppering in, like, mutants are a thing within She-Hulk, within Miss Marvel, and all this, you know, all these other properties, right? So you don't have to necessarily... Fantastic Four. We've seen Mr. Fantastic, right? In an alternative Earth and Doctor Strange.
So then I guess your argument would be that... Or I guess you could say that Phase 1 or Phase 4 is very much how... Phase 1 was.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it was just like a lot of we're in the in this like cookie cutter thing.
Here are the players,
right?
Because we've got Kang as well, right? The presumed big bad of these phases with Kang Dynasty and etc.
I'm gonna assume Kang is actually really like a nice guy.
He's like
some of his versions are nice.
That's true, actually. Some of them are like
they're not all conquerors.
Yeah. Some are good people.
Some of them are just talkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like to talk.
He Who Remains wasn't that bad. Like he seemed like a decent fella.
He seemed like someone I would love to have a conversation with.
Yeah, over my ties.
Do you think that guy was jacked too?
Probably.
No.
I mean, we saw the same actor.
Yeah, but was it before he got jacked?
I mean, what does that even
He's
mean?
always been jacked.
Yeah.
He just got more jacked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Was it pre-jacked?
Let's quick before we get into bold predictions here. Let's take a quick revisit of our qualifier. So basically, what did we need to happen in order for us to say that this was a good show? Okay. Now, Christian, you said characteristics of Jennifer Walters sticks around. What did you mean
I think
by that?
Specifically like the comedy
Right.
and her awkwardness. Those were like the two I feel like biggest draws to that character for me. So as long as she didn't lose that and turn into a really confident, like superhero basically, like just go from 0 to 100 in one season. As long as they kept that, I thought the show would be successful. And for the most part, that's exactly what happened. She still has, the self-doubts, the real everyday problems throughout the whole season, right? And that was the draw of the show for me. Is like a superpowered person dealing with everyday problems while trying to balance work and home and all this relationships and all this stuff.
So Christian's a
And they
fan
did
of
that.
Spider-Man.
Nice.
Just kidding.
Arjun, you had said LA specific cameos.
Which we did get. We got like the Disney lot.
Yeah, that's true.
We got like some LA stuff. So
But
That's a
didn't
big
you
check
want
mark.
more? Didn't you want more obscure ones?
no, I
If
just
I
said
remember,
like
LA.
Salt and Straw on whatever.
I mean,
street in
they
Hollywood.
they had streets
Like
that were real
Astroburger.
streets in
Right.
LA. It wasn't like fake LA because I don't think the whole show wasn't filmed in LA.
No, it was
and so
Atlanta.
I'm sure a lot of it was recreations and whatnot.
Yeah, of
so
course.
I'm glad it was like real LA though.
I said continue the world building, which I think they definitely did a good job, especially
Yeah.
through the lens of like the law firm. We got to see real life examples of like superhero type, or no, I guess they're not even superhero, just powered people, legal issues,
Right.
Which was great. And then let's take a look at bold predictions that we all had. Unfortunately, Arjuna was right, so that always annoys me. He said Eternals will finally be referenced, which it was referenced, even though it was on a website, on a screen, while scrolling.
Still referenced. I
Yep.
still win.
Christian said that the Bruce bar is the same from Spidey, and Venom will show up and make Bruce bad. Very good, bold prediction.
Feels like a season 2.
Feels like it's
And then
never
Scar
gonna
will
happen.
fight him.
Yeah, it feels like it'll never happen.
Yeah,
yeah.
it feels wrong.
And then I said we'll throw a temper tantrum at the CGI. I'm not gonna throw a
Sound
temper
bold.
tantrum because it all looked.
I actually thought it looked better than the last few episodes. Like it
it
felt
just
like the
looked
budget was like saved a little bit more.
And you know what makes it worse? We our previous pod was on Rings of Power, which had really well done CGI because there was time put into it and money was put into it. So it makes it difficult because I was watching these, like I started my morning out watching all of like She-Hulk,
Yeah.
and then I ended my day watching the Rings of Power finale, and it's wildly different in terms of like the
Everything.
special everything.
In
So
everything, yeah.
unfortunately, it sticks out just that much more in terms of how bad it looked.
One studio is cheap,
Here's a
and the
question
other is
for you,
Amazon Prime.
Ravi.
Yes.
Ravi,
Yes.
would you rather have no CGI than bad CGI?
Yeah, 100%. All the time.
So how would
they
they
did
do-
play with
how
that
would-
with the theme?
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
The,
I was
with
gonna
the Hulk,
say,
the
like-
Hulk thing with the paint.
Yeah.
Would
it
you
was
rather
fun.
have the Lou Ferrigno look
Yes.
than the? Oh wow!
100%.
Wow.
Because here's the thing, that the Lou Ferrigno Hulk was from a time period where we did not have the skills, know-how in terms of practical effects that we have now. I do believe, and I have seen it. I've seen some cosplayers who've done She-Hulk real, and it looks decent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's possible. It's just for whatever reason they went this route.
I'll say
That's
this.
fine.
I'll say this about the MCU, because we talked about Phase 4 being 2 years. It's been so much bad CGI
Yeah, it's just
that
blends
I'm like
together.
blind to it at this point.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't affect me
The
the same
viewing
way, and I
experience.
imagine that it doesn't affect a lot of viewers the same way
Yeah.
in terms of just being like, we can accept this quality now.
Yep.
Which is not a great place to be in, but I guess Disney was banking on that and they win. I hate
It's
it.
great for Disney. Because
Yeah,
it's
they're
like,
just like, we
they're,
can go
they're making the
cheaper.
stuff at their cost,
Right.
and at this point we're just so used to it now. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you don't even blink.
Well, it's
I mean, think about Thor and Doctor Strange.
But even but go back to like real life things where it's like, Apple with the iPhone, they removed the headphone port. And remember that was the big thing for a long time, but guess what? Years
adapt.
later we've adapted, we've had to adapt to it. So it's the same
button.
thing. The button, like
the wheel.
like so many things.
People were upset about those things.
Yeah.
And now people are just like, it's fine.
But
Soon
it-
enough,
it-
they'll remove the phone. You just pay for the box.
It used to be puppets.
yeah.
Now it's like real
C-
CGI.
Yeah.
It's puppetry.
Bring back
CGI.
the puppets.
Looking ahead for She-Hulk, whether that's a season 2 or showing up in another series or a movie, what bold predictions do we have for the character?
Damn, I had one and I totally forgot. So someone else has
I'm gonna go with something I mentioned earlier in the pod. I think She-Hulk will show up in Daredevil and it'll be more of a 1-episode cameo. It'll be like a significant arc or portion of the show.
They get into a huge fight about who's moving to what coast, and then they end up breaking up.
No, it's interesting. We didn't talk a lot about Daredevil and his inclusion in the season as a whole, but like obviously we've all seen the Daredevil show. I don't know if you guys have seen the full 3-season run.
Oh yeah.
Or whatnot, but like that Netflix version of Daredevil, very dark, very gritty, right? This is a different version of Daredevil. It's not the same. Kind of similar to Kingpin, where he's wearing the Hawaiian shirt, and it's just you're kind of like, wait, who the fuck is this guy? For me, this version of Daredevil worked because it still felt like he had some of the broodiness that we'd come to know with the Charlie Cox version, but it also fit into the MCU where he's a little bit more lighthearted.
Well, also, he's gone through 3 seasons of growth.
Sure.
Like if he was the exact same Daredevil that we saw in the first season, then what was the point of those 3 seasons?
Also, there's been some time.
Lauren actually made
those seasons.
Lauren also made this point too. Like when you're watching the Daredevil episode, when he's going through and beating up the goons, he is still physical. He is still beating them and hurting them. And they even shoot it very kind of darker and closer and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But the Daredevil itself as a superhero, I think he's similar to like what we are familiar with. Maybe it's a little bit more lighthearted. But the character of Matt Murdock is a much happier individual than what we see in the Daredevil series. And again, time has passed. You don't want to see the exact same thing because then again, the character hasn't grown and it's still moody, and that's boring. So I think
boring.
But my bold prediction, I'm gonna
you'll throw a temper tantrum at the CGI again
for a She-Hulk. No, I was actually gonna say that they're going to get rid of the CGI version and go with a practical version of She-Hulk. The reverse of what they did with episode 1 of Star Wars, where it was a puppet Yoda, and then they went and digitally replaced it with a digital version of Yoda. This is going to do the reverse.
So are you saying they're going to go in after put a practical one in?
Any future versions of She-Hulk that we see, it's going to be a practical She-Hulk and not a CGI monster.
That's very bold.
That's the whole segment. It's called Bold Predictions.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you have not bold predictions.
I gotta say, your last
throwing
two
a temper
predictions,
tantrum at
they're
CGI.
not just bold; they're just like flat out wrong.
Yours is pathetic.
Wrong predictions.
So what are you gonna say there? Jennifer Walter shows up. That's like, come on,
Daredevil.
That's not bold. We know that's gonna happen.
I don't know that. That's not nothing's confirmed.
Christian, do you have one?
Nothing.
No, but I'm going to come up with one on the fly. Season 2 of She-Hulk will feature
The Fly.
She-Hulk becoming the official attorney to the Avengers. And I think that the next season of She-Hulk will be leading into the next Avengers movie. Specifically. So she's going to become their lawyer.
Right.
They're going to they mentioned Sokovian Accords
That's
in
been
this
repealed.
season. I don't think
They're
that's
They're
I
gone.
don't think that was willy-nilly. I think so yeah. Official next season will deal with legal trouble with the Avengers, reforming them legally, and then that will set them up for the next Avengers movies.
That's kind of cool, actually. That's pretty bold.
See, that's a good bold prediction. Maybe we could take notes from Krishna.
Switch the
No.
Avengers out for X-Men.
Ooh, that'd be better.
We should
That's
mention
that'd be
this is
pretty
the
sweet.
first canonical mention of the actual word X-Men in the MCU.
I would disagree because again, this is in her head. So
It's said out loud. We don't know if it's in her head. It actually could be real.
tomatoes
Yeah,
and
we don't-
potatoes.
yeah.
We
Tomatoes-
you're assuming it's in her head. It actually could be real.
Tomatoes
Was it-
and
We don't know
potatoes.
Was it mentioned at the camera or to another character?
No, she said
She says it to the camera.
Straight to camera.
Yeah.
Oh, then it's in her head. All
We
the
don't-
fourth wall stuff is in your head.
We don't know. We don't know if that's established.
Hold
within
on,
This
I
show,
gotta
though.
talk to my fourth wall real quick.
It has to.
Just talk to the fourth wall.
Yeah, we paused while you talked to it. We didn't even notice.
But we're running out of time here. But let's go. You did say this at the start of our original pod for She-Hulk, or maybe you didn't mention it, but you said you had a theory that the She-Hulk or the Hulk poison or venom in her, like with Bruce Banner, it creates Bruce Banner and then the Hulk, and then they find harmony.
Yep.
But you had mentioned, and I still like this theory, that her talking the fourth wall is actually her other personality that she's talking to, and not necessarily us.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, again, though, goes back to it's all in her head or whatever. But I still like that theory. And again, what's nice with that is it doesn't matter either way. It doesn't actually change anything, but it's still like a nice thing of like, oh, she's only now doing this because
she has the
stuff in her
powers and
system.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's the
I
change.
remember my original bold prediction.
Jesus Christ.
Go ahead.
Super
If you
convenient.
let me say it, I like my new one better, but my original one was that season 2 will deal with. I think there's going to be an episode where it's animated and it's a what if episode. So it'll be a spin-off what if episode with She-Hulk.
That would actually be super cool. That would be a nice, good, like, synergy thing, too.
Planet Hulk.
Could be.
That would be
could
fun.
be.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah, what if there is no Planet Hulk, and they just do, like, a what if episode, like 20 minutes, and they're like...
that would piss off a lot of people.
That would
People
be.
want to be happy.
Riots.
We should also
Blood.
mention that this week rumors became rampant that Harrison Ford has been recast as
Red Hulk.
Thunderbolt Ross, who becomes the Red Hulk.
That's just rumors, though, right?
Just rumors right
It's
now.
just, but it had been rumors for a while, and now it's like stronger rumors.
That seems
he's
insane.
Been cast.
It does.
It does seem, especially because Harrison Ford is a bit injury prone on sets.
And is it Hurt who plays Thunderbolt right now?
Well,
What's his
Hurt
name?
passed away, though.
Right. He passed away.
Yeah.
So they had to recast the character if they wanted to include him.
Well, so I mean, this goes into everything that happened with Chadwick Boseman. There's been conversation about that recasting and why are you doing it for one and not the other. So that in itself is a whole other discussion we're not going to have right now.
But I wanted to mention because he
Yeah.
is a Hulk character.
Yeah, that would logically
Otherwise.
appear in
A Planet Hulk.
Yeah. So that'd be interesting. Let's ask the final question and get out of here. Katrina, you can kick us off.
Are we going to do both, or are we just going to do the season?
Let's do the season.
Okay.
Let's do the season.
Ravi.
No.
Was
Yes.
She-Hulk
Maybe.
season 1 / like the entire series? Question mark. Good.
This is a lot of pressure. I don't like going first. Yes, it was good. I do think it's one of the ones that stands out amongst all of the Disney Plus shows, and I just realized I say that every single time we talk about a Disney Plus show, and then in
I think
about
you
a
said
week,
no about Moon Knight.
yeah, I did say that about Muna, but in a week I'll forget all of it, which kind of sucks, actually.
They want you to forget,
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
so you can buy more toys to remember.
I don't have any Marvel toys.
You have
That's
the
crazy.
gauntlet.
Krishna, was She-Hulk season 1 good?
Yeah, it was good. It was a good time. It was funny. I like that like Arjuna mentioned, the stakes were low. You didn't have to think too hard, but it was fun. It was still entertaining. So yeah, I'm gonna say it was good. Arjuna, was season 1 of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, good?
Yes, it was. It was a fun time. It was a good show. Another strong character being introduced into the MCU. I like a lot of, like I've said before, I like a lot of these new characters. I'm excited to see them in different circumstances and different team ups, kind of playing off of each other. And I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Ooh, yeah. Real quick then. Quick question. We don't have time. Never mind.
Well,
Just go.
Just
Go for
ask
the
the question.
Oh, okay. So if you had to put She-Hulk in a team up with one other MCU character, which one do you think she would synergize with the best?
Deadpool. I would do Deadpool,
Ooh,
She-Hulk.
yeah.
I think with the fourth wall breaking, it could be really fun. I think they also have some stuff in the comics as well.
Daredevil.
Well, that's the easy one, Michael.
Yeah, that was the easy one. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Ashram,
Who?
the giant
The Celestial?
Celestial.
Oh, interesting. I'm
Because
gonna say the Punisher.
Wait, I didn't get to
with
say
with
why.
John Bernthal.
Oh, go ahead.
Punisher would be actually really cool
Yeah.
because there's legal stuff there, but we've kind of seen the legal side of Punisher with Daredevil, so it feels like you'd be rehashing that. But Ashram, because there'd be a lot of wall breaking.
I think it's Arishem.
Arishem. A lot of fourth wall breaking with that character, and us kind of being like, he's a jerk. So.
I'd like to get him
That's
breaking
hilarious.
the fourth wall and get a Celestial's insight into the story.
Oh yeah.
But that it's probably like so insignificant to them they wouldn't even care. So
I want to see She-Hulk. I want to see Jen represent WandaVision in her redemption arc that they want.
that would be cool. But again, Wanda's evil, so
Ooh.
it's fine. No redemption there.
I'm pretty sure they're going to try and redeem her.
They're all bad. Actually, crossover. She-Hulk defends
Batman.
Cassian Andor and his crimes that he commits
He committed
Against
no
the
crimes.
Empire.
against the
I like
Empire. And with that, that's going to do it for us here on Was It Good? As always, thank you for tuning in, listening, joining in on the conversation. You can find our full podcast on youtube.com/wasitgood. Follow us on Twitter at Was It Good, on TikTok and Instagram at Was It Good Pod. Our next pod is going to be on the first or only season? First season of Deadpool's soccer team documentary, Welcome to Wrexham, and the other guy.
Hey, bring
Rob.
on the Deadpool and Rob McElhenney.
Oh,
Great, that song
perfect.
stuck in my head always.
Anyway, goodbye.